We continue this month with the theme for Centers of Spiritual Living, which is Be Truthful in Facts and Motives. And the value for this month is integrity, and today is about not magical thinking, but radical knowing. And there is a huge difference. And we want to move from the wishing and the hoping and so forth into clear knowing that there is a wonderful, magnificent universe that is for us, that there is infinite possibility that exists for us. We came in that way, that was the intention, and that never stopped. It's that we need to catch up with the realization that there is plenty, and we are not only allowed to have it, but we are invited to have it. As Emma Kurz Hopkins used to say, there is good for me, and I must have it. And then the other part of that, knowing that there is this loving presence that desires everything marvelous for us, the other part of that is that there is a perfect law of mind. Jesus taught us so clearly, as you sow, so shall you reap. As you think, so shall you manifest. That it's the same law that works in this universe. Whether you're planting spring flowers, you don't really need to plant them. They just come up, don't they? Isn't that great? There's an intelligence, an infinite intelligence in the universe that's also within each of us. There is a creative activity taking place all the time, as it is within each of us. And so how we utilize our thoughts, our minds, our intentions determines how our personal lives are expressed and how we make a difference in our larger lives. Things happen in this world. Terrible things happen in this world, don't they? Beautiful things happen in this world. There's a natural law. It is the physical expression of a higher degree of order. So we allow honesty and clarity to be our way. We use universal principles to achieve our goals, but we don't have control over everything that happens out there, do we? There are natural disasters, and there are cruel, hateful, unbelievable actions that people take, like the mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand last week. Well, we can honestly address our feelings. We have to tell ourselves the truth. We need to stay in integrity. It was shocking. It was unbelievable. And yet, it's just too bad, isn't it? That we're becoming less shocked when these things happen. Because it keeps happening in so many ways, popping up. And we understand that when all this hatred is coming up, that it is coming up for a healing, and we are the light workers who continue to hold the high watch and to make a difference. So we honestly address our feelings, and then we bring a higher vibration of love, because the healing must take place. Wednesday, typically Reverend Mike and I do you like this? Typically Reverend Mike and I do a Wednesday night live with an exclamation point. And it's very nice. It's informal. We make a little circle right here and then we have a very short power talk. We do some music. We have a nice discussion and then meditation and so forth. So Tuesday night, because I had been in touch, as well as our mainline ministerium people, had been in touch with Muhammad and Fazl at our society, the Islamic Society in Devon. What can we do? Our hearts are broken. We want to be there. We want to stand with you. And ultimately they said, we're going to have a vigil Tuesday night at their center. And so Reverend Mike said, I can take care of Wednesday. I'll take it to the Islamic Center. And it was so wonderful to be. It happened so quickly. But to be there with ministers and congregations, the rabbi and some of his folks, and so many people from different faith traditions, the room was filled with people standing in love to support and to say, let's make this different. Let's make a difference in our world together. And when Muhammad heard that I was coming, not that Muhammad, this Muhammad, maybe, I don't know. He's the most peaceful, loving person I know. Maybe he's I don't know. Anyway, when he heard I was coming, he said, Maxine, would you speak a little bit? So it was wonderful to be able to share that with the colleagues here in this valley. So what happens when terrible things occur is that we go, that never should happen, stop it, and then we go into something of a higher consciousness. We use our radical knowing rather than wishing that it would stop. We use our radical knowing to remember there is only one life. That life is divine. That life is your life. That life is my life. That life is the life of every sentient being, including those that would be called victims, including those that would be called perpetrators. And we need to rise to a higher level and to bring our greatest, shiniest consciousness to join with others and to say, we stand with you. We are united. We are one. And we are here to make a difference. It was absolutely beautiful. It was terrible and beautiful. And that's kind of the way life is sometimes, isn't it? And we move through these things because we're never doing it alone. Centers for Spiritual Living, when this occurred, actually came up with a beautiful prayer. I'd like to read it to you. This is in response to what took place in Christchurch, New Zealand. This morning I speak these words in sadness, feeling a sense of brokenness and confusion that such devastation and cruelty could occur, that someone could take the gift of life and use it to destroy the lives of others because of such complete lack of awareness and connection. I refuse to turn my head from hatred and choose to look it in the eye in full knowledge that hatred always pales in comparison to love. And I heard a lot of that on Tuesday night, especially from the Muslims, about needing to focus on love and bring love and peace. The love of life that binds us inward and expresses through the beautiful uniqueness of all souls, all nations, and all faiths. I pray that those families who were shattered by such delirious violence are touched by this love, by the outpouring of support and reminders of the good and caring nature of humanity. Although we cannot take their anguish away, I pray for moments of grace and a sense of inseparable connection with their dear lost ones, who, by the way, are not lost. I pray that those who teeter upon ideologies of bigotry and division step back and realize that this thinking does not lead to victory for anyone, is an evil not created by God, but by born of the ignorance of humanity. I wholeheartedly believe in an ideology that celebrates our unity and diversity, that values listening and collaboration, that embraces integrity and honesty, and stands up to hate not only in its naked worst, but in its hiding places. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings on this day hear the call to step into higher consciousness and a way of being for themselves and for all. And so it is. Amen. And that's the place to which we all need to move. And when we do, we actually are making a difference. When I was going to school in Berkeley and getting to know this beautiful man, Eknath Iswaran, Sri Eknath Iswaran, who was the leader of the Blue Mountain Meditation Center. He had come from southern India in the 60s on a Fulbright and wound up staying in Berkeley because he fell in love with all these crazy, drugged-out kids. I have a sense that my professor may have been one of them at one time, but he introduced me to Eknath Iswaran, and it was absolutely beautiful. He's since left the planet, but he has a wonderful way of looking at what do we do in troubled times. And this was written quite a while ago, so you may recall we've had troubled times for a long time. And he says, in the Sanskrit scriptures, this world in which we live, of birth and death, good and evil, right and wrong, unity and disunity, is called karma huma. the land of karma, the land of work. When you feel oppressed by the burden of the world and the tragedies enacted on it, please remind yourself that it is only here where we find the choice between the best and the worst that the human being can discover the unity of life. Strangely, it is in this utter darkness that we begin to grope for light. It is in the midst of utter violence that we begin to yearn for love. I keep in close touch with what happens in the world, and there are times when I feel deeply grieved by the suffering I read about. And I wonder why life has to be this way, but I never despair. At those times I go deep, deep into meditation until I reach the very source of love and wisdom that exists in each of us. When I do, I'm reassured that all is well. This is not merely some sentimental notion. I return from this awareness charged with the energy and vision I need to continue to alleviate this suffering. So what I would tell all of you is this: meditate every day. Throw yourself into some form of selfless work and use your sense of suffering as a powerful motivation to help relieve the suffering of others. It is a wonderful gift to give. It is a wonderful gift to give. And every time something occurs that is so difficult to understand, we need to come deeply, deeply, deeply into the heart of our center, of the center, where we all abide in the heart of the beloved. And it is here where we remember we're unified with all sentient beings. All sentient beings. Without exception. Without exception. We don't hate the people who hate. That's some of the hardest part, isn't it? But to understand that underlying all activity, there is unity, and there is love, and there is wisdom, and there is peace. And the quicker we return to that true, authentic place in consciousness, the better we are able to give our gifts to those around us and to ourselves and to the larger world itself. So we study our beautiful teaching. And we remember that Ernest Holmes said that the time has come when science and religion can walk together hand in hand. Have you noticed that that's happening more and more? We know that quantum physics has taught us that there is something that responds to our thinking and our believing. We understand that it is not about wishful thinking. It is about utilizing a dependable, accurate, fabulous law of mind that responds to our true belief. So we are continually being challenged by things that throw us back on our truth, that bring us deeper into our center, and that allow us to come forward in our consciousness, to love and support the people all around us, and to love and support the people all over the world. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "It takes twice as much energy to wish as it does to plan." Do you ever think about that? Twice as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Almost makes me want to throw away my magic wand. I want to use a little less energy. And then Michael Jordan said, see, I love all these saints, St. Eleanor, St. Michael. He said, some people want it to happen. Others wish it would happen, while others make it happen. And how do we make it happen? Not by pushing and shoving, not by getting out there in the world and rearranging the furniture, but by changing our consciousness, by joining with other conscious people to raise the consciousness of humankind. We've got some work ahead of us, but it's joyful work, and we're up to do it. And it's a wonderful thing to realize we don't have to despair. We can utilize the beautiful gift of life to bring more life to life. We live in a quantum universe, that transitional place between the invisible and the visible. And we work in the realm of the invisibility in order to bring new and glorious happenings and occurrences and manifestations and life into the outer world. Spirit, material. Well, a spirit is in material, because we know that the material world is simply thick spirit. Yeah, I thought of that years ago. It's thick spirit. It's what you can see and weigh and measure, but it's still all the same life. One life. That life manifests itself on the invisible and in the visible, so that we can see and experience what we have radically used our knowing to bring about into the world, into our own lives first, and then into the greater community and into the world itself. We have the ability to speak our word, not always outwardly. It can be silent, but the word. In the beginning was the word, NRK, en hologos, kai hologos, NRK. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. There's one life, and that life is divine, and it's yours to use, and it's mine to use. Oh, let's use it. Let's use it, especially in times that are so frightening or so, how could this be? Never mind, I don't like it here. No, let's love it here. Let's watch the beautiful new spring flowers coming up and realize that's the way life was intended to work. Let's align ourselves with that beauty and that truth. Let's align ourselves with that infinite power that can make a difference in our world and in our lives, and to raise people up and to let the healing take place, and to know that thought becomes manifest. We know that. We're learning it more and more. All of our classes teach us that. All of our experiences teach us that. We're understanding the unseen world. And we're living in that place more and more in order to bring beautiful, beautiful manifestations into the seen world. In my beautiful friends Elizabeth Arrett and Michael Rand, she was Elizabeth Rand Arrett. She was Elizabeth Rand until she married Bill Arrett. Before that, Elizabeth and Michael were married when they were in Chicago sharing a center, and they wrote this book, Shortcut to a Miracle, a year after their divorce. They proved that you can just get along. And they wrote this beautiful book, and they make quantum physics so understandable. They said 3 things. Our universe is the universal law. Natural law is the physical expression of a higher degree of order. A higher degree of order. You see, we cannot afford to spend a lot of time down there where things are so awful or so frightening. We need to align ourselves with a higher order of thought and belief and knowing and experiencing. And the third thing is, we live in a universe of connectedness, and we actually participate in the operation of it. You know the Heisenberg principle? We found out that and others since then have found that the observer doesn't just observe what's going on scientifically, but actually influences all those little atoms and everything else. The observer is actually an activator. And that's what you and I do all the time. So when we observe something in the world that is not to our liking, that's the time to realize, wait a minute, I'm not going to keep my focus there. I'm going to do what I can to help people if that's something I can do. But the best way I can help myself and everybody else is to remember I have more power right here in my mind and in my heart than I might have been told growing up. That here and now I am aligned with, I am connected with all of life. And I have the power, I have a great power to make a difference in my surroundings. So I'm not going to stay in that place. I'm going to come up to this place where I'm actually making a difference. We depend completely upon the powerful and orderly universe to succeed in every idea and every concept. We tell ourselves the truth about ourselves. This is what Christine Iswaran said. She was Sri Eknath Iswaran's wife. He since has left the planet, but she's still doing the good work. We tell ourselves the truth about ourselves, the experiences in our lives, and the conditions in the world as we move to a higher order of knowing. Both science and religion work on the principle that intangible, unseen forces permeate and unite all things in the universe. All religions proclaim that there is a divine spark in everyone, without which civilization would not have survived. When we pray from the depths of our heart, we tap forces greater than ourselves in a realm of experience in which all of us are one. Let's just breathe in that unity. Let's understand that that divine connectedness is the reality, with a capital R, reality, in which we all live and move and have our being. And let's return there instantly, often. Well, I said instantly. I do want us to go ahead and feel what we're feeling for a moment, and then move immediately into the clear knowing that there's something greater than that the divine spark is within every sentient being. It's within you, and it's within me, and within our bright, bright, beautiful, joyous, loving, fabulous children upstairs, learning how these principles work right now. Isn't it wonderful to know we're sitting here and we're enjoying each other at the same time that these kids are learning how to live? I'm so grateful for having been raised in this teaching. I'm so grateful that we get to continue to offer it to everybody, all ages, whether you're 3 or 93, it's still the truth. I'm not saying we have a corner on truth, because that truth is, as we read earlier, it is at the heart of every major faith tradition, every single one without exception. It is about love. It is about wisdom. It is about peace. It is about connection. It is about unity. It is about that divine spark within us all. We don't wish, says Ernest Holmes. We know. We do not dream. We state. We do not hope. We accept. We do not ask. We announce. We do not expect something to happen. We believe it already has. In the infinite mind, of which we're all a very essential part, in the infinite mind, it is already so. Will you say with me, I trust implicitly in the divine presence. I trust implicitly in the divine presence. I use the law of mind with enthusiasm. I use the law of mind with enthusiasm. I am a force for peace. I am a force for peace. Oh, and so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson.